Well, RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, he has sparked off yet another controversy with another sexist comment. Well, Bhagwat, while addressing a gathering at Indore, has advised women to stay indoors and to do household chores. Well, Bhagwat described marriage as a social contract between husband and wife and said that men keep women to fulfill that contract.
Theory of contract, theory of social contract. पत्नी से पति का ये सौदा तय हुआ है, उसको आप लोग विवाह संस्कार कर कहते होंगे, ये बड़ा सौदा है कि तुम मेरा घर संभालो, मुझे सुख दो, मैं तुम्हारे पेट पानी की व्यवस्था ठीक करूंगा और तुमको सुरक्षित रखूंगा। और इसलिए उस पर चलता है। अब जब तक पत्नी ऐसी है तब तक पति कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ति के लिए उसको रखता है। अभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ण नहीं कर सकते, उसको छोड़ दो। किसी कारण पति कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ण नहीं कर सकता तो उसको छोड़ दो, दूसरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर खोजना। ऐसे ही चलता है, सब बातों में सौदा है।
But the RSS has defended that comment made by their chief, saying that he was quoted out of context and that the Sangh respects women. But the Congress has lashed out at the RSS, saying that their true colors have now been exposed.
So it is most unfortunate that the media has totally misrepresented Sri Bhagwatji's comments on the Western marriage system. The media has projected those comments as his views on the Indian marriage system, which is totally false. It is totally falsifying his views. He said that the Western marriage system is contractual, where a man and woman consider the marriage as a contract. Whereas he also went on to say that Indian marriage system is a very sacred institution.
देखिए, आरएसएस एक दकियानुसी संगठन, कट्टरपंथी संगठन है और कहीं ना कहीं अभी भी वो 5000 साल पुरानी जिंदगी में जी रहे हैं। तो ऐसे दकियानुसी संगठन से आप इसी तरह के विचार की उम्मीद कर सकते हैं, इसी तरह के बयान की उम्मीद कर सकते हैं। आरएसएस का जो बगल बच्चा है भारतीय जनता पार्टी, जो अपने आप को आधुनिक भारत की एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी होने का दावा करती है, उनको स्पष्ट करना है कि आरएसएस के प्रमुख के इन बयानों से वो कितना सहमत हैं।
But remember, this is not the first time that Mohan Bhagwat has raised eyebrows. Well, earlier this week, RSS chief had sparked off a controversy by saying that rapes happen in India and not Bharat. Listen in.
Theory of contract, theory of social contract. पत्नी से पति का ये सौदा तय हुआ है, उसको आप लोग विवाह संस्कार कर कहते होंगे, ये बड़ा सौदा है कि तुम मेरा घर संभालो, मुझे सुख दो, मैं तुम्हारे पेट पानी की व्यवस्था ठीक करूंगा और तुमको सुरक्षित रखूंगा। और इसलिए उस पर चलता है। अब जब तक पत्नी ऐसी है तब तक पति कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ति के लिए उसको रखता है। अभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ण नहीं कर सकते, उसको छोड़ दो। किसी कारण पति कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूर्ण नहीं कर सकता तो उसको छोड़ दो, दूसरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर खोजना। ऐसे ही चलता है, सब बातों में सौदा है।
ये इंडिया में चल रहा है, बढ़ रहा है, बहुत खतरनाक और बहुत अश्लील है, लेकिन ये भारत में नहीं, ये इंडिया में। जहां इंडिया नहीं है, केवल भारत है, वहां जाके आप देखिए, वहां ये बातें नहीं आज नहीं।
So now the question is, can we really expect some effective laws coming in action to prevent crimes against women from such sexist netas? Well, debating that with us right now is social activist Shabnam Hashmi, joining us from our studios. Also Sanjay Jha, the author and co-founder of HamaraCongress.com, is joining us from Mumbai. And Ram Madhav, the leader of RSS, he's joining us live from Jaipur. Well, Ram Madhav sir, if I could come to you first, how will you now defend this latest shocker which is coming in from your chief?
नहीं, मैं तो इस बार एक कदम आगे जाकर कहता हूं कि हमको लग रहा है कि ये डिलिबरेटली हो रहा है। इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं, जिम्मेदारी से ये बात कह रहा हूं, उनकी जो बात थी कल इंदौर में, उन्होंने पाश्चात्य जो सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थ्योरी है उसके आधार पर विषय रख रहे थे कि पाश्चात्य समाज में विवाह व्यवस्था एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, एक सौदा के रूप में रहता है। सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थ्योरी के अंतर्गत ये बताया जाता है कि सब व्यवस्थाएं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, मैरिज भी एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, उसमें पति पत्नी कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल संबंध रख के रहते हैं। ये पाश्चात्य समाज के संदर्भ में कह रहे थे। और आगे उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि भारत में शादी एक पवित्र, एक बंधन है, एक सेक्रेड इंस्टीट्यूशन है, ये बात भी बोले हैं। पर आज मैं देख रहा था सुबह से कि उनके इस बात को कि जो वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी के बारे में बोला है उसको मानो वो इंडियन विवाह व्यवस्था के बारे में बोले हो, ऐसा पेश किया जा रहा है। ये तो मुझे समझ में इतना ही आता है कि या तो उद्देश्यपूर्वक हो रहा है या जल्दबाजी में कर रहे हैं। किसी भी स्थिति में शोभा नहीं देता मीडिया को ये।
Well, Shabnam Hashmi, if I can come to you, is this not typical? Blaming the media, what he clearly said, we have recorded exactly what he had said, but do you think that really is the problem? The social mindset of our entire society, not just these politicians, which obviously is being reflected right now. The fact that we are ready to put the onus on the woman, say that our daughters should remain indoors, instead of teaching our sons to respect women.
Well, I would like to begin and say that specifically of this group, the RSS, this is not the first time. About 7-8 years ago, they had distributed pamphlets across India, in which they specifically talked about women's position in the society, and they said it is women's role to remain inside the four walls, keep the husband happy and produce children. And it is exactly the same position as that of Hitler. It signifies a certain ideology, and I think it is very important for the women of this country to understand that where are these politicians leading us, specifically politicians who believe in certain fundamentalist ideologies. And it is, whether it is the Hindu right or the Muslim right, you would hear the same kind of thought process about women. And definitely the future of India does not lie in their hands. If they are to make our laws, if they are to govern the society, then women would never be able to get equality.
Well, Sanjay Jha, if I could get you into this conversation as well, what do you make of this statement, this latest shocker coming in from Ram Madhav? Do you think it's reflective of not just what the RSS thinks, but also all the right parties together?
You know, I think what's really frightening is the fact that I totally agree that the entire mindset of the society needs to change, but the political parties and those who are actually, you know, taking up these self-assumed positions of moral policing, well, they have then in that case a much greater responsibility. I read Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's comment, and it was like from the absurd to the atrocious. I mean, a couple of days ago he uttered not just I thought a ridiculous statement to talk about rape being a Western culture in our metropolitan cities, but the fact that it was disingenuous. The facts are that in rural India there is a greater degree of exploitation and underreporting. And for somebody who's supposed to be such an aged man and apparently knows the country, you can see how divorced he is from the realities of life. And to comment on women, especially when it's such a sensitive environment after the unfortunate thing that happened in Delhi, I think it's a telling commentary on how we need to really raise not just consciousness but some degree of ethics in the way people communicate, especially because these are public personalities. You know, you and I are debating it today because Mr. Mohan Bhagwat heads the RSS. And just imagine the kind of signal it is sending to so many vulnerable sections of India, some who might be believing him. You see, the sad part, the tragedy is that some might be actually believing him. Absolutely. And I'm glad people like us are contesting it here. As usual, media is going to be the soft target and everybody will blame the media for distorting it. But you know, the fact is that these are the very regressive, retrograde, and I think reprehensible statements to make. And if nothing, at least the BJP or the RSS should look inwards and introspect and see where
Mr.
they're
Jha, if
going
I could just ask you one thing. You are mentioning BJP and the RSS. Let's not forget, Congress has done no better when it comes to such sexist remarks. There was, of course, that remark made by Abhijit Mukherjee and also Shri Prakash Jaiswal. So it's not something which is just restricted to the right-wing parties, is it?
No, no, absolutely. I agree with you. This is across the entire political spectrum. You see, but my concern now, there can be sporadic incidents. I'm not going to justify what Mr. Mukherjee said. I think it was condemned by one and all. I strongly condemn it. I can tell you right now on your channel, I'm not sitting here first as a supporter of the Congress party. I'm first sitting here as a citizen of this country who would like to believe that it's important for all of us first to look at our role in society before we look at our political, ideologies and preferences. So I think it's got to be condemned across the spectrum. And I have heard all political parties have somebody or the other make some very childish, infantile and atrocious statement. But going forward, you see, these are leaders of their, of their outfits and, the religious congregations they had. And if they're going to make these kind of statements, you can imagine the kind of philosophy and ideology they live by. And that, I think, is a very scary proposition.
Unfortunately, it's this entire war, that outrage that people have raised against crimes against women is becoming a joke by these politicians. Let me go back to Ram Madhav. Well, while there are claims that the RSS chief was misquoted, as you were saying, we of course have video and also complete audio of what your chief had said. He actually said that men keep women who honor the contract. Men protect and serve women. And do you think that is something that is just something that he has said, it's his personal opinion, or is it something that the entire party is also agreeing with?
ये वो कह रहे हैं, वेस्टर्न व्यवस्था में उन्होंने ये बात कही कि वेस्टर्न व्यवस्था में महिला को कुछ काम दिया जाता है, घर के अंदर वो है, बाहर कमाई पुरुष करेगा, इस प्रकार की उनकी वेस्टर्न सभ्यता की उन्होंने वर्णन किया। उस पे कंटेस्ट हो सकता है, पर मेरा कहना है कि उसको भारतीय व्यवस्था के बारे में उन्होंने ऐसा बोला, भारतीय महिला को घर में रहने के लिए बोला है, ये कहना गलत है। उन्होंने ऐसा नहीं कहा, संघ ऐसा मानता भी नहीं है।
There you just heard Ram Madhav denying each and everything that we have recorded by our cameras. But let's not forget that Indian netas, it seems, unfortunately will never learn. While the country is raging over this gang rape of a 23-year-old in Delhi, these notorious netas have come up with some regressive ways to prevent rape. In fact, let me get in Shabnam Hashmi right now. Ma'am, don't you think it's extremely insensitive, at least in today's day, when there's outrage on the streets pouring out against the death of this 23-year-old rape victim, for a politician to make a statement such as this?
Well, it is of course extremely insensitive and condemnable, these kind of statements. But also what I want to add here, that from my experience of working as a socio-political activist, RSS never says anything without a cause. And this is realizing that there is a large majority in India, the Khap Panchayats, the people who do not allow women to marry on their own, there is a strong feudal mindset in this country. And also the people who have come out to contest that mindset, the modern women's movement, the students, the whether they are from JNU or from Delhi University, this is definitely going to appear again and again in the coming days, because they would be targeting now the people who have those patriarchal and feudal mindsets for the 2014 elections. I have never seen in the last 25 years of my activism RSS making a statement without a cause, and I think this is a cause for worry. This has not come only from the RSS chief. Also, the ABVP, the BJP student wings chief, today in Mail Today there is a long article on that. He has said exactly the same what RSS chief is saying. So this is something which I think the country needs to very seriously think about. That what is the strategy for which they have started this whole campaign against the call for equality, against the call for gender justice, and whatever has been happening on the roads in Delhi.
Sanjay Jha, do you agree with Shabnam Hashmi? She thinks it's a larger, huge propaganda which they are trying to build for the 2014 elections. Let's not look at these as stray incidents.
No, no, absolutely. I think it's symptomatic of a deeper, kind of anti and almost, treating women of this country as with a very secondary inferior status. I remember, and I would like to tell you that when I grew up in Bihar in my very early days, and I used to feel that, the girls and, the cousins of mine were thought to be just good enough to grow up one day and get married, and were deemed as liabilities for some of my related families. The sons were thought who will grow up to be IAS and IPS officers, and promote the family surname. I mean, these are absolutely medieval and extremely unfortunately feudal mindsets. They need to change. And today's time, I mean, when India is being looked upon as not just a great economic superpower, you cannot really become one until you make changes in your society. I mean, I can't imagine an India, a country that doesn't respect its women. Forget rape, I think that's one heinous extreme. But I think if you don't respect women, it's right from sexual harassment, at work, a glass ceiling in the corporate atmosphere, everywhere. I think it's symptomatic of a society that's still backward and almost barbaric. So this is a challenge for society as a whole, and I do believe that governments have a big role to play. Central, state governments, rules and regulations, governance, civil society, education. This is a massive challenge, and I can tell you, it's not going to be, we're not going to get overnight solutions, but the fact that we are now talking about it with greater intensity and awareness,
Absolutely.
I believe is a positive sign for change. And the more we expose what's wrong, even if it looks cliched and monotonous and boring day in and day out, I think we will create a certain degree of a recognition that, listen, you're not going to get away with it by talking about women in a manner which is disparaging and demeaning to their status.
Absolutely. Mr. Jha, unfortunately, everyone agrees. The opinion is unanimous across the boards that something needs to be done. Anti-rape laws to bring about laws which will protect women.
You see, we have been demanding for years, and I have been reiterating it over the last 2 weeks, that it is very important for women to be in positions which are policy making positions. We want the 33% reservation bill to be passed, which is hanging in the parliament for very long, and I think once that bill is passed, once you have more women in parliament, in assemblies, in positions where they can intervene and bring, then it will be much easier to change the mindsets, because they would be able to say that this is where we need money. We don't want money to be spent on arms and ammunitions. We want money for changing the mindsets. It is very important that women reach there. As I was reading in some newspaper, there are hardly 4% women in government services. It is very important that we have women's participation. It is only then that we can influence. And of course, all the other things which have been talked about extensively, sensitization of the society, of police, of young students, college,
Of our leaders.
of our leaders, of course, political leaders, of course, and encouraging people who have modern thinking to enter politics, so that we do not end up with leaders who keep on passing on such remarks, whether it is the RSS leader or the one from Bengal. I'm sorry, I'm very bad with name, the president's son, or so many other people who have in the last 15 days said things which are highly problematic.
Absolutely. Sanjay Da, if I could get in your word, what would you think is the way forward from here? What is constructive other than just voicing our outrage?
No, I think very simply put, I think at least in the corporate atmosphere, I notice a lot of companies now practicing diversity and opening up opportunities for women. Number two, I think on the political side, I completely agree with what Ms. Hashmi said. I mean, the women's reservation bill, it should be a tectonic impact, that when you have in policy making in parliament the highest authority, so to say, the country across the political spectrum, women being represented, I think you will see the entire change happen. It's happening, you know, wherever women have had roles to play, whether it's been at the panchayat level, it has made an impact. And more important, I think, you know, today as far as education is concerned, you know, the entire, you know, curriculum sometimes seems to make a hero only out of the male characters. But you look at India, you know, I mean, I believe whether you look at modern players like Saina Nehwal or people in the corporate sector like, you know, Chanda Kochar or Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, you look at the politician women themselves, you know, Mrs. Gandhi or Mayawati. In a difficult place like Uttar Pradesh, you have had a woman chief minister, Mamata Banerjee. I think there are women and so many others like Mrs. Karat, etc. Very, very successful, very articulate, very sensitive. I think we need to see this entire, you know, voice of women also to perhaps make a collective statement saying that, listen, you know, we are successful, we are good. And as Margaret Thatcher said once long time back, let me tell you that, she said, when you want anything done, anything said, ask a man. When you want anything done, ask a woman. And I think that's perhaps a statement of what women can do. I'm a big believer that this society in India, if we don't really make our women not just be equal to men, but perhaps even better off, I think we're doing a great disservice to our nation.
Well, we'll just continue that debate, but let's also get you the shocker which is coming in from Puducherry. In fact, in a meeting which was held to take steps to ensure safety of students in the city, the government has come up with some of the bizarrest ever diktats. Well, some of them include banning mobile phones and separate buses for boys and girls. But the most outrageous suggestion was made by one of the school heads, and he said, and this is something which is, let's tell you, is being taken into consideration, saying that girls should wear overcoats for their own safety. Let's listen in.
இங்க கூட ஒரு கருத்தை சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. அப்போ வந்து பெண்களுக்கு குறித்து ஓவர் கோட் போடுறது அது கண்டிப்பா நம்ம செஞ்சு கொடுக்கணும். அது நல்ல ஒரு பாயிண்ட் தான். அது கூட நம்ம வர நம்ம செய்யறது நம்ம ஏற்பாடு பண்ணி கொடுக்கலாம்.
Well, after the outrage on the streets of Delhi, there have been committees being set up to ensure safety of women. But Shabnam, Hashmi, does it help having people like that on committees like this who are going to say, let's just hide the women away, and only that is the way of keeping them safe, and absolutely no onus lies on the men?
I think it's absolutely shocking. I actually read it in the morning, and I was absolutely shocked. This again, you know, this is, all these things are displaying the mindsets of this country, and especially of men. I think it is a big problem when you separate boys from girls. It is very important for a healthy child to grow up in a co-educational atmosphere. I mean, why do we need to separate them? And this whole thing of putting overcoats on them, how is it different from putting burqas on women? How are they different? It is the same mindset at all. Instead of sensitizing the boys, sensitizing the men, they are all the time telling women that you cover yourself and you do not move out. This is a medieval mindset.
Absolutely. It's about time that our society wakes up, that India wakes up and realizes it's time to teach our sons that you need to show respect to women. Well, I'd like to thank everyone, Ram Madhav, Sanjay Jha, and also Shabnam Hashmi for joining us in that debate.